Hello everybody and welcome back to Space Engineers, where today we're going to be looking into more suspension or custom suspension things for your rovers. Because personally this is actually one of my favourite things to do in this game. I love just creating these mechanisms, and I haven't done it in a while. It's probably be getting on a year maybe since the last time I made one of these custom suspension things. And I like doing them, so I'm going to do it more. And I've also built a cool little testing track just to show you how each one of these performs a little bit. So this may be a little bit of a longer video, but yeah. We've got two little starter cars right here. So we've got just the 4x4 typical car, and I added an 8x8 car or truck as well, just because I also made some suspensions which used 8-wheel drive instead of 4-wheel drive. Just so, you know, you can see how these perform. So without further ado, let's get straight onto the video, shall we? Okay, so here are your bog standard, simple, nothing fancy other than slapping the suspension blocks onto a Rover. So I've used the 5x5 wheels just because it gives it the best chance of actually doing any of these. And you can see, fairly simple, just, you know, slapped on. Many 8x8, we've got some extra battery just for some weight and it's slapped on. So yeah. So if I was to, I'm only going to show these basic ones briefly just because I want to get straight on to showing the complex ones. But without further ado, let's show this one. So I've slowed these down just so you can see it crawl, and it does what you expect. It drives, but it's a bit of a rough, drive. Just, feel like a bit on a boat. You know? Not really ideal, so I'm not going to go any further than that. Going on to the second track. Now, one thing I will say is, these basic vehicles will be able to drive over pretty much all of these test tracks from what I'm aware of. It's just not, you know, very clean at doing it. So you can see here, wheels are already lifting off the ground. It's not very safe in the slightest. It'll do it just because these wheels have so much torque. But, you know, that's not ideal. And then let's move on to the third track, shall we? Bonk. And like so, drives over all of them. Yep. Again, the suspension works, you know, a little bit. It's not terrible. Better than having, you know, just a solid thing. And it's pretty bad. Yep, it's pretty bad. Oh. And it bombs out. Nice. And I'm not even going to bother with that one just because there's not much point. So that's essentially how it is, and I'll just show you this one quickly on. Let's do it on this. We don't need to show the basic rovers. You've all built basic rovers if you've played this game. You know how wheels can be annoying, and yeah, especially with longer wheelbases, you're just gonna have so many wheels off the ground at all points in time, and it's just not good. Like, if that was a realistic vehicle, you'd be screwed. So that's how we get on to our first set of custom vehicles. We have the basic, actually this is a different tactic. I'll try and explain it briefly. So, you know how I like using a tactic of putting a rotor inside of a suspension block? Well, then I've attached, you know, a couple of wheels to it, and for some reason, if you just make this a solid rod, it clangs out and explodes and it's crazy. So if you add just something, I like using this because it helps with, you know, the suspension a little bit. Any kind of subgrid separating them but keeping them attached works really well. And I also have a so that's a 3x3 wheel, and I have a 5x5. Same with the next thing. And again, I'm not going to show all these off. I'm only going to probably show the bigger 8x8s fully, just because time. Now, this is a very wide wheelbase, but that's fine. As you can see, it's pretty cool. You can already see it's much smoother, especially since if you think these are way smaller wheels as well. But don't get me wrong, it's still like a bit of a boat. But it's not too bad of a boat. Yeah. And so I'm just going to show the bigger one for the next bit. Just like this. Bonk. So you can see, it's not perfect, but it does work a little bit better. It's not good for these. It has the same issue that it does with these big ones. So I'm not saying that any of these suspensions are perfect. I'm not. But they're way better than normal. You can sort of see it is trying. It is trying its best, but it just can't quite. So that's where I moved on to a new design. I sort of reached as far as I could with this, and this is where we get these ones. So let's start with the little tiny car again. I love this little tiny car. Look how cute it is. Pretty tall. It's cute. Whoa, why has this got some speed? So this is a unique, different one. Sorry if this causes motion sickness to anyone. Yeah, that's causing me motion sickness, so I'm not going to continue that. You can sort of see it might actually work a little bit better on this one. It uses a rotor here, and we've got a double rotor. Blocks are attached to this rotor, and then we have wheel suspensions forcing either side down. And what that allows you to do is, get way more ground clearance. However, well, that's pretty impressive, wouldn't you say? All wheels still be in contact and have that much of a tilt. But we're gonna use the bigger version because, cooler. I think if you're gonna be experimenting, or if you're gonna be wanting to build a really off-roady kind of vehicle, you're gonna want to use a 5x5 wheels at least. So this is the same exact mechanism, just uses the bigger wheels and so satisfying. Look how smooth it drives over. Oh. Pretty good. It's not perfect, like it's a little bit too tall for this size block. Like it can't quite do the 2.5 meters, but oh boy. It really does well on this one. It does well on that one, but I don't think you need to see that. So let's, you know what, we haven't done the fourth one. Let's mess with the fourth one, shall we? Now this is just a little bit different. It's trying to test the suspension in just different ways to see how it reacts. So that's just a nice little drive over. And then we got some drops. Just sort of sees it's not quite ideal. But it can still do, You can sort of see how active this suspension kind of works. Oh, we can. There we go. Can it get out of the ruts? It can. Oh, perfect. Oh. There we go. I really like this vehicle. Also, yeah. You know what? Yeah, so this vehicle is really strong. So we went from a, simple 4x4. I was going to make an 8x8. So that's where I came into this kind of scenario where we are putting angle bits. And we're using, you know, just hinges which are called springs. It's at a max velocity pointing downwards, but with a very small amount of torque. That way they can compress. So if we go on to this one. Now this is where it gets cool. I drive along here, nice and slowly. You can see how it can just crawl. It can use that little bit of a spring it has. But there is a problem. These quote-unquote springs that I've made are not perfect. For some reason, I don't know why, but I think the hinges try to lock once they've reached like their maximum bit, and so it's harder to compress, and it's weird. Sort of, there's a very fine line between allow it to compress and it just won't compress. You can try tweak the settings, but it's very, very difficult to make it work. As you can see, it works fine here. And this will be more apparent on the bigger... I don't even know what I'd call these. I'm sure they have a technical term. It's sort of just like the bumps. Sort of see the wheels can flex, but you can see it's not really compressing the stuff properly. So obviously these green rods, they're not really compressing, they're more just staying. They move a little bit when they need to, but not a lot. So, and let's go back onto this one. Because I like this one. This is a good one. Go slow. I like it slow. Ooh. What's going on over here? There we go. Oh, it's because I was driving up. Gotcha. But it doesn't... It's cool. You can sort of see... There you go. It is compressing. It needs to, but it doesn't... It doesn't consistently do it, and I don't know why. I was kind of hoping that it would work. But it does. No, it's not perfect. A little bit of a... Let's go on this side. You can sort of see it doesn't properly compress. And I know I'm repeating myself, but you'll see it pretty good here. Really, the whole vehicle shouldn't be lifting, it should just be the axles lifting. The little green parts should a little bit, should be doing like that, but all the way across. Can you see that? That's what it should be doing on every single thing, but it doesn't. So, I had to redesign it a little bit. And that leads us on to our final vehicle. Now this one, I'm really proud of. I think it looks pretty cool. And I tried to design it in a slightly different way to this one. So if you look at this one, you can sort of see the axles go downwards, go downwards, go downwards, go downwards. And that has a problem that if it hits a sudden wall, it sort of doesn't break, but it's really weird. Try and show it. Let's see. I wasn't really expecting to actually do this, but you know, I probably should. Let's put a little ball down. Yeah, I like it. So if I was to drive into this wall, you can sort of see it's not quite happy because it has to force the rod upwards. And by what I mean there is like it wants like it from, how do I describe this? Because this is at an angle, when you put a force pointing this way, it wants to force it continually going down, where really you want it to go up. So with this design we have here, where these, you'll be able to see, these wheels are the opposite way. When you put a force going this way, these naturally will just lift up. And then I flipped it backwards just for the back end. And that results in... This might actually be a little bit too high for this. Oh, oh, there you go. Much better climbing. But the rear end still struggles. Because I haven't managed to make a, like, axle which can work in both directions. But that's not really why we came. We came to see this part. And for those who are still at this point in the video, as always, I've got a Discord server, so feel free to come and join. And I will be posting all of these vehicles onto my workshop page, which you can access through the Discord. So, you know, feel free to come and mess about with these designs. And yeah, this is just satisfying. Now, I haven't really explained this properly. I probably should. So let's park it here. So we have three main parts. We have the part in red, which is your hull of your vehicle, sort of the main chassis. We have the green part, which is just sort of like a suspension arm, right? So this is a free bearing. It's just completely off. And all of the weight is resting onto these suspension 1x1s right here. And then we have the same system which we had on the second design, where these wheels can tilt. So we have our rotor here, we have our two wheels, and it can, you know, lift up and down on either side. And that results into something which can, you know, for a 4x4, this has so much sort of like movement and allows all wheels to stay in contact all the time. Plus, it's just very satisfying to watch. Like, can you not tell? Don't tell me that this is not satisfying. And you know what? It gets more satisfying. Satisfying. There we go. English. When we go to the sort of bigger. You know what? Let's do this a little bit in first person. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. So you can see how little way we have on this. Just because the wheels can all mount, it can just move. It has so much freedom. Way more than what the vanilla wheels can even manage to do. And it's just a bit insane, really. Oh. We're driving a little bit off. There we go. Very cool. Settle. There we go. And then we're going to move on to the next one. Now, obviously, the whole concept of this works in vanilla. It uses no mods and no scripts to do the main suspension parts. However, you do need a script because in this game, you have to use a script as a wheel, like a subgrid wheel control, right? So because these are on subgrids and subgrids, these wheels cannot be controlled by the seat unless you have that script. Which does mean Xbox users, and I'm guessing now PlayStation users, when they actually release Space Engineers in there, will obviously not be able to do this, which is very sad. I really hope they do fix it soon, or add it, or allow a way just so you can sort of add scripts, or preferably just allow you to be able to control subgrids from a seat, you know, wheels. I don't really see why you couldn't, but yeah. You can sort of see this is what I was meaning before with the last 8x8, how it was lifting the whole vehicle instead of just the axles. You can sort of see how much smoother this bit is. Way nicer. And our last little test. Bonk. I don't even really know what bit to show. Oh. But obviously, it doesn't have perfect reach. Like, you can still see wheels are off the ground, just because you kind of have to have a compromise between, you know, having enough ground clearance, but not, you know, being crazy high off the ground. Now, this is a bit extreme. Like, I don't think you're ever going to be driving on surfaces which are anything like this, or if you are, where are you driving? So, but even there, like, it gets out of these ruts way easier with this suspension because it has so much ability to be able to just lift. Yeah, really pleased with this type, or this specific type of suspension. Really strong, and you can imagine just an entire build around this. And it's pretty compact. Like, don't get me wrong, it's big compared to, you know, Space Engineer, but it's just because the wheels are big. The actual main sort of this part of the mechanism actually really compact, and the fact is, I've made these wheels quite narrow. If you wanted to, you could probably make them a lot wider and make a bigger vehicle overall. Also, if you really wanted to, you could probably make this in large grid scale. You'll probably notice most of my builds are in small grid, just because it's a bit more convenient to show the scale, or show the build rather than have it on a huge scale. But yeah, there's no reason why this sort of design wouldn't work in large grid, and you could have it on a mega-sized Rover, which could look really cool, but just driving over these massive dunes and stuff without any kind of issue. Yeah, you could definitely use the big boy wheels. So let's use the yeah, the big 5x5s would, yeah, look really well. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video and just showing off all of these designs. As always, if you do want to see how I build these, maybe like, you know, message me if you want to see that, and if I get enough comments asking me how I build these, I'll make a bit of a tutorial showing you probably this design, because it's probably the most complex one. They're not very difficult, but yeah, more than happy to show you. And like I said, these blueprints will be on my Discord, so feel free to come and join that and mess about with them if you want to try it that way. But yeah, that's all we've got time for today, so hopefully you did enjoy this video. As always, my name's been Quantum Truth, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!